This is every WWE Premium Live event booking I made in the latter half of 2024, and I want you to tell me how I did. But regardless, let's get into the first booking. We're at Bad Blood, and the show kicks off with a feud that at its core is about blood, as Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu open the show with a chorus of boos being showered on them with enough hatred to make Atrocitus grin. But then boos soon turn into cheers. The original, or better yet, the only tribal chief is here. The crowd are elated, but they're equally excited to see their hometown hero.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
The champ is here. The crowd are at fever pitch, and with that, the bell rings. The match is underway, and Cody and Solo kick off the match with pure strikes. The hatred is on true display, but Cody gets on top and lets Roman enter the match. It's a stare down for the ages. However, Solo tags in his enforcer, which makes the crowd pop louder than ever before. A dream altercation can finally happen. But then Cody tags himself back in. He wants vengeance on Jacob Fatu, which clearly rubs Reigns the wrong way. However, he lets it happen, and thus Jacob and Cody begin fighting. They're going at it as if there's no tomorrow, but Jacob is too much for the American Nightmare to handle. Thus Cody is isolated. He's been worn down by both Jacob and Solo, but he won't stay down. He won't be denied. He keeps on fighting no matter what's thrown at him, but he eventually finds an opening and takes it. And with a tag to Roman Reigns, we finally get Reigns taking on Sikoa, and Roman dominates. He's all over the Timu Tribal Chief. That is until Solo manages to tag back into Jacob Fatu. And the two men start going at it. They're throwing everything at each other to keep the other down. But Reigns is getting overwhelmed. Jacob is an entirely different beast. However, Solo wants to finish the job. So whilst Cody and Jacob fight on the outside, Solo looks to hit a Samoan spike onto Roman. But Reigns counters and manages to nail a Superman punch onto Solo. It's looking bleak for the former enforcer. So here comes the rest of the bloodline. Everyone hates it. Cody and Jacob are still busy fighting on the outside. No one can stop Tama Tonga and the infamous Tonga Loa. That is until... Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I not only acknowledge my tribal chief Roman Reigns, but I also acknowledge one of his most loyal disciples. Jey Uso is back, and he cleans house. He takes out the tag champions with a chair, and then he acknowledges Roman Reigns. But Jacob is taking care of Cody. However, as he's on the apron, Reigns nails a spear through the ropes to the outside. The enforcer is done, and so is Solo. As with a spear, Reigns picks up the win for the Dream Team. Everyone is elated at the big time win. But Reigns goes to pick up the WWE Championship that he held so dear for so long, and Cody doesn't like this, so he snatches his gold back from Reigns as he says, Roman, this isn't your yard anymore, this is mine. I beat you, and you don't deserve a second chance, because you cannot change. You will always be a monster. Cody lays down the law on Roman. The crowd are in shock, and Reigns simply smirks, then nails a spear onto Cody, and with that, he walks to the back of his family, leaving Cody in a broken, lifeless mess in the middle of the ring. And yes, this would set up Roman Reigns versus Cody free at Crown Jewel. But regardless, it's time for the Women's World Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan in a street fight, with Dirty Dum Dum in a shark cage. Thus, Liv Morgan blindsides Rhea for championship in hand. She smashes her belt into her over and over before the match can even begin, but then she relents and throws her opponent in the ring, and with that, the match officially begins, although the beatdown from Liv continues. She's all over Rhea, but she can't seem to put her away, so she goes to find weapons to destroy the star. However, that gives Rhea a chance to recover, and as soon as the champ gets back inside of the ring, something snaps inside of Rhea as she goes completely berserk on Morgan. She batters Liv with weapons and strikes. She even powerbombs Liv onto the announcer's table and suplexes her off of it. It's looking bleak for the champion, but no one from Judgment Day could come to save her. No male anyways. Raquel Rodriguez is back in WWE, and she's reunited with Liv Morgan. Raquel hasn't forgotten what Rhea did to her, and with a powerbomb, she leaves to allow Liv Morgan to finish the job. So Liv jolts into the cover. 1, 2, No! Rhea lives! Liv can't believe it, but she knows that she has to finish her like a Mortal Kombat fatality. So she gets a chair, looks to do an Oblivion just like at SummerSlam, but this time Rhea catches her and then plants her with a riptide onto the chair. Is the match over? Well, Dominic pulls the referee out the ring. He managed to escape the shark cage. It's a disgraceful act by Dirty Dom Dom, but Damian Priest can't come to the save. He and Finn Balor engage in a wild brawl. Jey Uso can't make the save even with him holding off the rest of the Judgment Day. There's no one left to help Rhea. That is until a certain man returns. Dominic looks like he's seen a ghost, and he runs away from Becky Lynch. And with a nod of respect between Rhea and Becky, Becky walks up the ramp to hold off Raquel. There's chaos wherever you turn, so Rhea gets a stack of chairs, puts them in the ring, and puts Liv onto the top rope, and then nails an avalanche riptide. Rhea wins. She overcomes Liv Morgan and regains the championship she never lost. It's a heartwarming moment for Rhea, but she knows her night is far from done, as she goes to help in the fight against the New Judgment Day, whilst Balor and Priest continue their fight towards the ring. And their first blood match follows Rhea's big time win, and the match is a similar car crash, although both men focus on just hurting each other. They don't care about making the other bleed, although it would be a bonus. Priest even manages to nail a self-evident chokeslam onto Balor, but he doesn't care. He wants to continue hurting the Prince, so he sets up a table onto the outside. However, Balor grabs a chair and nails it into Priest's stomach. Then Balor gets sinister thoughts. He puts Priest onto the table, climbs to the top rope, and from there does the unthinkable. Priest is done, and Balor knows it. He throws the corpse into the ring and just waits with a chair in hand. He just observes as Priest gets to his feet, but then Balor does something no one expected as he hits Priest with a chair in the face. The crowd are forced into silence, but Priest hasn't bled, so Balor just sits and waits, and eventually Priest stumbles to his feet again, and Balor hits Priest with another chair shot to the skull again, and he does this over and over and over until Priest draws blood. Balor wins, and in the end, the New Judgment Day completely stand tall. But who will stand tall in the Women's Championship match between the champion Nia Jax and the challenger Bayley? While the match is underway and Bayley is desperately trying to take the advantage in the early stages of the contest, as she even manages to send the Queen to the outside and then proceeds to dive onto her. Bayley won't let up, so Nia needs to create separation, which she does as she hurls Bayley into the barricade. And from there, Nia dominates. She completely dismantles the smaller role model, but no matter what she does, she can't seem to put her away, so she goes into the corner. She's going to attempt to dive and crush Bayley. However, Bayley manages to get up and hit her off. Can she overcome the odds and regain the Women's Championship? Well, here comes Tiffany Stratton. She won't let her friend be beaten, but Naomi fends her off. It's going to be a fair one-on-one match, although the brawling distracts Bayley long enough for Nia to gain back control of the match. It's looking hopeless for the challenger. That is until Nia hears something unnatural. Charlotte Flair is back in WWE, and she has her target set on her fellow queen, which Nia is furious about, but her fury is her own undoing, as Bayley manages to sneak up on Nia with a roll-up to become champion. Everyone can't believe it! Charlotte has screwed Nia out of the Women's Championship, but why? Well, before we find out very quickly, as when Bayley is celebrating, Charlotte nails Nia with a kendo stick, but that's not all, as she nails a shot onto Bayley as well. Charlotte sends a message to everyone, including Miss Money in the Bank, as Tiffany Stratton comes down to the ring after fending off Naomi. Is she going to cash in? Well, with Charlotte in her way, she's unsure if it's worth the fight, but Flair doesn't want one, as she unbelievably leaves. No one can believe it. Tiffany's cashing in, and Charlotte is allowing it. And with the prettiest moonsault ever, we see another new champion. Everyone is stunned, including the former women's champion, who watches on in horror as her friend celebrates her victory. However, can Sami Zayn once again stand tall over Gunter, or will the ring general be too much for the underdog from the underground to handle this time? Well, the match is underway and similar to the WrestleMania match. It's an instant classic. Sami tries desperately to match Gunter's striking game, but he knows he can't, so he has to rely on his wits, determination, and his own style of wrestling to try and overcome the odds and become world champion. He even manages to hit a haluva kick, however it knocks Gunter to the outside, but Sami keeps on the offensive as he dives on the giant Austrian, but as he's looking to put him back into the ring, Gunter has other ideas. He chops Zayn, which almost breaks him in half, but Gunter wants blood as he picks up Sami and unbelievably powerbombs him middle of the ring post. Zayn must be done, and Gunter relishes in the moment. However, he knows how that went for him last time, so he stops showboating and starts punishing the challenger. He maliciously strikes Zayn over and over. It's starting to become grotesque to watch as Gunter starts applying submission all to try and make Sami give up, but it doesn't work. Zayn keeps on fighting. Zayn even manages to hurl Gunter into the corner, and for a subsequent haluva kick, Zayn goes into the cover, but he can't put away the ring general either. Both men are getting desperate, and Gunter knows he's in trouble, so he loses it. He nails a clothesline from hell, a big time splash, and a powerbomb. Is Zayn done? No! Zayn lives! Somehow Zayn isn't done, and instead of showboating like last time, Gunter keeps on going as he nails another powerbomb, and then from an avalanche powerbomb, Gunter finally goes into the cover. 1, 2, 3. Gunter retains. Zayn was so close yet so far, but regardless, the ring general stands tall with his reign intact. But the main event doesn't involve championships. It involves two men who can't stand each other, two men who hate each other's guts, coming together for their last dance. Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. Both men will do anything to destroy one another, and now they can inside hell in a cell. And as soon as the match begins, carnage erupts. Both men brawl as if their lives depends on it. Even the cell can't keep them as McIntyre hurls Punk through part of the structure, and from there the fighting doesn't end. Both men hit each other although Drew gets on top, but he has an idea, and he begins climbing the structure. He even tells Punk to join him if he has the balls, which he does. So both men get on top of the structure. Both men are in a precarious position. This is a do-or-die situation, as McIntyre even manages to nail a Future Shock DDT alongside a Claymore, but he can't make the cover. The ring is beneath them. However, Drew gets another idea. He picks up Punk, but the voice of the voiceless counters, and even manages to nail a JDS, but again, he can't make the cover, so he does something not seen in WWE in over 20 years. Punk puts the feud to bed. Punk has won. Both men can finally move on, but at what cost? Well, before we find out, we're at Crown Jewel and we kick off the show in a big way as Big Bronson Reed is set to go against his bitter rival Seth Rollins. And to say this is a mismatch would be a massive understatement. It's one of the biggest guys in WWE against the smaller David. How could Seth Rollins possibly win against the monster? Well, naturally, Bronson is dominating Seth. He's throwing him around as if he's nothing. It's already looking hopeless for the Visionary, but Rollins attempts to use his speed and agility to his advantage. He won't be put down easily, although that speed is best used for strikes, as he nails shot after shot to try and even wobble the big man, and eventually Bronson does begin to wobble. He even manages to send the big man over the top rope. However, Rollins keeps on the offensive, as with the speed of a hawk, he hits a picture-perfect dive onto the outside, but Rollins still doesn't let up. He knows he needs more, as he hits another big-time dive, but Bronson won't stay down. He keeps on getting up, so Rollins keeps on going at him. He even manages to connect with a diving knee, which takes the big man down. However, Rollins then makes a foolish mistake as he attempts to pick up the much larger Bronson, and of course, he doesn't have the strength. His back crumbles under the pressure just like when he was World Heavyweight Champion, and Bronson retakes full advantage as he launches Rollins into the barricade. But to ensure neither man gets counted out, Bronson smartly goes in and out of the ring to continue the punishment, and Bronson has vicious thoughts on his mind. He picks up the Visionary, then unbelievably hurls him into the barricade with enough force to make the Justice League impressed. The Visionary is hurting. How can he possibly continue? Well, Bronson knows how much pain Rollins is in, and he relishes in it as he puts him back into the ring and continues wearing down Rollins. He hits big power moves over and over, but no matter what moves he busts out, he can't seem to get the job done. So Bronson knows what he has to do. He goes to the top rope. He's gonna hit the tsunami, but Rollins manages to evade the dangerous maneuver. He has a chance, and he knows it as he manages to connect a stomp onto a dazed Bronson, and he sprawls into the cover. Is this it? No! Bronson kicks out at 1. Rollins is shaken to his core with such a feat of endurance, but he knows he has to keep the pressure onto the big man, so he looks for another. However, as he's running, he gets caught and is obliterated by a waistline and senton combination. Rollins is out cold, but Bronson wants to ensure the damage is done, so he goes to the top rope, but like the veteran he is, Rollins rolls out the ring, and this makes Bronson furious. Although with his fury, he gets an idea, and with Rollins down and out, he goes to redecorate the announcer's table. Things can get ugly, but Rollins has some fight left in the tank. He fights out of the grasp of Reed. However, Reed ends up putting him on the announcer's table, with him joining the Architect, and they're trading strikes. Neither man will wilt, but Rollins manages to nail a shot to the gut onto Bronson Reed and has him in position and connects with a DDT. Reed is out cold. This is Rollins' time, but he wants to take out the bigger athlete for good, so he slides into the ring, goes to the top rope, and from there does the unthinkable. Seth takes the ultimate risk for the ultimate reward, but he can barely put Reed into the ring. His back is his own worst enemy, but regardless, he goes into the cover. 1, 2, no! Reed lives! Rollins can't believe it, but he has one more move left in the tank. He goes to the top rope, but Bronson cuts him off, and he hurls him into the center of the ring before nailing another waistline and senton combination. However, he isn't done. He goes to the top rope and manages to finally nail a tsunami, but he still isn't done as he hits another and another and another until finally he mercifully goes into the cover. 1, 2, 3. Bronson wins. He gets a clean victory over one of the biggest stars on Raw. It's a humongous win for him. But what's next on Crown Jewel? Well, following a malicious war, enters another, as it's time for the highly personal matchup between bitter rivals Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, and the match can only be best described as a battle. Both men bring their A game. However, with both men's styles of wrestling, it doesn't come as a surprise that the match devolves into a fight. But this is a far more different Kevin Owens. He's more vicious, he's more gritty, he's more of a fighter, he's more of what made him a world champion, and that propels Owens to control the matchup. He even manages to take the Apex Predator to the outside, in which he inflicts even more damage as he smashes Orton's back any way he can find it, but then he gets Dark Thought. He's gonna powerbomb Orton on the hardest part of the ring, but luckily the Viper gets out of it, and he creates some much needed separation, and with that, he manages to recuperate enough to the point where as Owens attempts to get back into the ring, Orton hits some vintage Orton offense. He's looking for an RKO. Can he hit it? No! Owens counters. Then as Randy runs at Owens, he gets a pop-up powerbomb for his troubles. Orton is out, but the prize fighter wants to rub salt on the wound as he takes Randy to the outside, then nails the pop-up powerbomb onto the hardest part of the ring. Orton is hurt, and Cody knows it. He demands for Owens to end the match, but he refuses as he says to the champ, "Throw in the towel, Cody. That's the only way this will end." And almost immediately, Cody does. He saves his mentor from career-threatening injuries. But is the damage already done? Well, Owens thinks so, as he just leaves both men. He doesn't want or need to hit Cody at this moment in time. It's a big warning from the champ who runs the camp, as the prizefighter has now shown how ruthless he can be. But regardless, it's now time to see who will be the very first Women's Crown Jewel champion between the Women's World Champion Liv Morgan and the WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax. And similar to the opening contest, it's another David vs Goliath style affair. And just like the opener, everyone despises the Goliath. Everyone hates that Nia is in control, and people for the first time in a long time start cheering for Liv. The crowd even cheer when Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Raquel Rodriguez start involving themselves in the match. They're trying their best to give Liv a helping hand, and the Women's World Champion starts to take advantage, but she can't even take the irresistible force down, nor can she pick her up, as she learns the hard way what happens if she tries to. And just like that, Nia takes back control of the match, but Liv's backbone will do whatever it takes to reinsert Liv into the match, as with Dominic distracting the ref, Raquel hands Liv a chair, who then starts beating it into Nia, which does take her down. And after discarding the evidence, Liv keeps up with her offense. She refuses to allow Nia to get up, but no matter how hard she tries, she can't seem to put away Nia Jax, so she allows Jax to her feet as she forces her onto the ropes. Can she hit an Oblivion? While Nia counters and hurls her out the ring. She's back into the fight, and while she desperately gets a breather, she frantically asks, "Where the hell is Tiffany?" No one knows, but one thing Nia does know is that she's outnumbered, even if it is a one-on-one match. That is until someone comes to her aid, although it isn't who she expects.
Damage control.
Damage Control are here, and they run off Dominic before engaging in a wild brawl with Raquel on the ramp. It's now a fair one-on-one match, but Liv has also recuperated, and that gives her a chance to nail an Oblivion out of nowhere. But Liv has taken herself out. She's dazed. That is until...
It's Tiffy time!
she's here, and she has her briefcase. Tiffany's gonna cash in and run straight past the free-faced woman on the ramp and makes a beeline to the ring. Who is she gonna cash in on? She doesn't know what to do. Liv is stirring. Nia is out. So Tiffany makes her choice. Tiffany chooses Nia. She betrays her so-called best friend. She's had enough of the abuse from Jax, and with another prettiest moonsault ever, Tiffany wins. She becomes WWE Women's Champion. But not only that, she is crowned the inaugural Women's Crown Jewel Champion. Everyone loves this, although Nia isn't best pleased, but she leaves the new champ alone, as it's now well and truly Tiffy time. Although before we get further development on the biggest betrayal of the night up to that point, it's time for the United States triple threat match between LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, and it's total non-stop action between all three men. Knight perfectly meshes with their already impeccable chemistry between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes, and they're already in contention for competing in the match of the night. But speaking of Knight, he's using big power moves in an attempt to slow down Melo and El Idolo. He has the strength, whereas both Andrade and Melo have the speed and agility, which puts all three men on an equal playing field. No one knows who will win. It's unpredictable. Andrade even busts out a poison rod to try and take out his arch rival, but Knight breaks up the count. And to take out Andrade, Knight picks him up and just dumps him out the ring. It's down to 2, but Melo tries rolling him up. 1, 2, no! Knight lives, but for how much longer? As Melo counters an attempted BFT and manages to connect with a picture-perfect cutter before going to the top rope. He's gone for nothing but net. However, Andrade is back up and knocks Melo off the ropes. And with a groggy Knight, El Idolo takes full advantage and decides to pay tribute to his past as he manages to nail a hammerlock DDT onto the megastar. But as soon as this happens, Melo nails a nothing but net onto Andrade. Melo wins. He's the new United States Champion, but LA Knight was never pinned. So although Melo celebrates his victory, his future may already have been sealed. But he doesn't care. He soaks in the victory, and it's a well-earned victory at that. All the hardship you had to endure the best of 7 series, even if you don't like him, you've got to respect him. But there's no respect in this next match, as the future of the Women's Tag Team Championships are uncertain, as Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill have to somehow overcome Metaphors, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, Damage Control and a dynamic duo of Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And the match is full-blown chaos. There's bodies everywhere, but everyone is showcasing their talents. It's especially a big coming out party for Lash and Jakara in their first premium live event on the main roster. But eventually the match is reaching its finale. Belair and Cargill are fighting Damage Control on the ramp, and although Cargill urges for them to get closer to the ring, Belair doesn't care. She's seeing red. She hasn't forgotten the torment she went through by Damage Control, but that gives Lash Legend and Jakara an opportunity as they manage to double team Piper Niven, which leaves Chelsea Green all on her own. The crowd are electric. They think we're going to see new champions, and with a Lash extension, she goes into the cover. 1, 2, no! Piper Niven breaks up the count. Everyone thought we were going to see new champions, and this is a wake-up call for the champs as they attempt to bring the war back to the ring, but their plan goes wrong, but not how people were expecting. The Dream Team are out, and with Dakota Kai fending them off, Kairi Sane and Io Sky make their way towards the ring whilst dispatching Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And once again it comes down to 2 teams, but Lash and Jakara's lack of experience allows for Damage Control to get on top. They're all over the rookies, and with an assisted insane elbow along with a moonsault by Io Sky, we see new champions. Everyone loves it. Damage Control finally get back the women's tag team titles, and in the end, Damage Control are almost complete once again. But up next is all about family. It's time for OG Bloodline to take on what many consider to be the Timu Bloodline. Which team will reign supreme? Well, the match begins between two brothers, that being Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, and these two men are going at it. Their hatred is on full display, but Solo smartly tags out to his enforcer, and Jacob completely overwhelms Jimmy. He needs to tag in Jay or Roman, but to do that he has to get an opening against Jacob Fatu, and Fatu is relentless. He's mauling on the Uso like a rabid dog, but all it takes is that one opening, and Jimmy manages to make the tag to Roman Reigns, and like the kids would say, the aura is off the charts. They stare holes for each other, and unlike their last match, they immediately start slugging it out with one another. Neither man has the advantage, although Solo forces Jacob to push the OTC away and tag himself back in, so Solo and Roman go back and forth. It's a very competitive section of the contest. Although Solo is getting overwhelmed, the OTC is too much, so he has to tag in Tama Tonga, whose speed and agility allows him to take control of Roman Reigns, who is surprisingly the one being isolated. He's being slowly decimated by all three members of the new bloodline. However, the crowd are desperate for his comeback. They're desperate for main event Jey Uso, but no matter what Roman does, he can't seem to get any separation. That is until he manages to nail a desperate Superman punch onto Solo Sikoa, and with that, Roman Reigns tags in Jey Uso. The crowd are at a fever pitch, and Jey is a one-man wrecking crew. He takes out Jacob, he takes out Tala, and he dives onto Solo Sikoa. But from here, the match breaks down. Everyone starts fighting with everyone. The referee's gonna call for a disqualification until...
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
The Rock is here! The final boss is back in WWE! And he's decided to return in the middle of the Bloodline Civil War. And he starts going towards the ring yelling profanities at the referee, with him saying that if the ref calls for a DQ that he'll fire him, which calls back to what The Rock did at WrestleMania. But the only other people in the ring are Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, with The Rock shortly joining them. What will he do? Well, rather than say anything, he lets his actions do the talking. The final boss has just handed Solo the win on a silver platter. He's just assaulted the tribal chief. But why? Well, we don't find out, as with The Rock walking away, the new bloodline completely stand tall. But regardless, it's now time for the main event of the evening. It's time for a god to take on a titan. It's time for Zeus to take on Odin. Or in wrestling terms, it's time for Cody Rhodes to take on Gunther. Who will be the inaugural Crown Jewel champion? Well, as the referee pats down Cody for the big time match, Goldberg hits a spear out of nowhere onto the ring canal before getting out of the way as quick as a flash. Gunther's hurt, but he wants to continue the match regardless. However, as the referee rushes to check in on Gunther, Kevin Owens sneaks into the ring and nails a nutshot onto the American Nightmare before scattering away. Now both men are hurt, but both men want to fight, so the bell rings and the match is underway, and there's no feeling out process. They start throwing hands as if there's no tomorrow, but all it takes is one devastating chop for Gunther to take control. Can he take revenge on Cody for him eliminating the ring general at the end of the 2023 Men's Royal Rumble, or can Cody get one up on him again? Well, it's a very back and forth match. Neither man will wilt, but Cody is having to take big time risks to match Gunther's raw power, but all it takes is one strike for the ring general to overpower Cody. But you could say Cody has adrenaline in his soul, as he continues fighting on regardless. He even attempts a Cody cutter, but Gunther catches him with a rear naked choke. Will Cody tap or pass out, or can he get out of the devastating maneuver? Well, he does get out of it, and this gives him a second wind. That is until Cody attempts another springboard, which is this time caught with Gunther hurling him to the outside of the ring. Cody's back must be dismantled, but Gunther wants to break him as he powerbombs Cody onto the barricade and the rebuilt announce table. And once Gunther throws Cody into the ring, he begins to dominate. Has the damage been done? Well, Gunther manages to clatter Cody with his signature lariat and splash before going into the cover. 1, 2... No! Cody lives! He won't be denied! Although Gunther doesn't care. He picks him up and looks for a powerbomb, but Cody fights out of it. Then as Gunther looks for another lariat, Cody counters and nails a crossroads. Is this it? 1, 2... No! Gunter survives! So Cody signals to hit another, but Gunter catches him with a brutal elbow and finally hits a powerbomb and goes into the cover. 1, 2, no! Cody with the heart of a true god kicks out. No one can believe it, least of all Gunter, who stands in shock with Cody getting fired up, even though his body is broken. And in a big desperate move, Gunter hits another powerbomb, then another, and another, before going into the cover again. But once again, Cody barely kicks out. How the hell is the American Nightmare still alive in this match? But rather than getting cocky like he did at WrestleMania, he keeps on going, hitting powerbomb after powerbomb, until with one hand on Cody, Gunter mercifully attempts to finish the contest. 1, 2, 3... Gunter wins. He becomes the inaugural Crown Jewel champion, and even with Goldberg's presence looming over the ring general, he doesn't care, and Crown Jewel ends on a somber yet utterly brilliant note. But now it's time to book Survivor Series. We're at Survivor Series, and we kick off the show in a banging way. And beginning the show and beginning War Games is the model master of the structure, Io Sky. She's been in every female iteration of War Games, but can that experience push her team forward to victory? Well, Io is confident, that's why she started the match, but who will join her? Well, Sky entering the structure, her first challenge reveals herself to be her longtime enemy. It's the Women's Speed Champion. The two workhorses of the match are starting things off. Io loves this, and Candice walks down to the ring, disgusted by Io's presence. And with her entering War Games and the door being slammed shut, the match begins, and both women just stare whole through one another. The animosity between the two is on full display with just a simple stare, but Io begins walking towards the middle of the ring, and taunts at LeRae, and LeRae charges at her, and the fight is on, and they don't skip a beat, they go 100 miles an hour just like their encounter on Speed, but Io is getting on top, and she throws Candice onto a steel plate in between the two rings before joining her. It's a precarious position for both women to be in, and Candice manages to hit a lucky shot before nailing a spine-tingling DDT onto the steel. Io is writhing around in pain, but LeRae doesn't let up as she throws her into the other ring before using the structure to her advantage. She smashes her into the steel over and over whilst taunting to the crowd. Io needs help, but she can't get it. She has the disadvantage, so she has to fend off LeRae and whoever will join the match next. And that woman is Raquel Rodriguez, another one of Io Sky's NXT rivals. It's not looking good for the leader of Damage Control, and that thought is amplified when Raquel grabs a table and puts it into the ring. But she isn't done, as she grabs another table and puts it into the squared circle. And lastly, she grabs a kendo stick before she enters War Games. And as soon as she enters the ring, she makes an immediate impact as she assaults Io Sky after she took out Candice LeRae. But as LeRae beats down Io, Raquel sets up a table and gloats about it. Io could be done already, and she desperately attempts to stop the inevitable as she drapes Candice across the ropes. Although as soon as she does this, Raquel does the same to her. But she can't take advantage as Io manages to connect a diving dropkick. However, she can only take out Candice, and she finds out her mistake very quickly as Raquel manhandles her. But she won't quit. She fights against the much larger athlete, although all her momentum is snuffed out with one vicious swing of a kendo stick by the Women's Speed Champion. And then Candice gets the idea. She's going to put Io through the table, but Io gets out of it and then connects a back suplex. Although as she gets up, she gets annihilated by Raquel Rodriguez. Io needs help, and backup finally arrives for Io Sky as Naomi enters the steel structure for the first time in her career, and she starts off feisty. She grabs a kendo stick before going after Candice LeRae, then taking out Raquel Rodriguez all in one fell swoop. But the best spot of the match occurs following this as Io Sky springboards from one ring to another and drop kicks Raquel. The babyfaces are getting the upper hand as with Naomi swinging a kendo stick like there's no tomorrow onto Raquel, Io manages to connect the double knees into the corner onto Candice. But now Tiffany Stratton enters the fray for her first War Games match similar to Naomi. And again, similar to Naomi, she's a force to be reckoned with. as she aids Candice in attacking Io Sky, but Io once again won't quit. She fights on no matter what, but Candice shuts her down as she plants Io with a bulldog, which puts her through the table. Io is done, and with Raquel suplexing Naomi, Candice LeRae nails a poison rana onto Io, which occurs on the table rubble. The heels are in control. Raquel even manages to put Naomi through the other table. Naomi and Io are getting completely overrun, but to equal the playing field is none other than one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, Bianca Belair, and she brings some toys with her as she puts her chair into the ring along with a trash can, and to top it all off, she brings in another table, although that table is her own undoing as Tiffany grabs it and smashes it across the EST of WWE, but it's now a fair 3-on-3 fight. There's no excuses, and eventually the babyface trio completely overwhelm the heels. Io even manages to connect a moonsault onto Tiffany Stratton, whilst Bianca Belair unbelievably hits a stalling suplex onto Raquel. It's a huge feat of raw power by Belair, but the heels fight back, with a big part of the fight coming from Candice LeRae, who grabs the trash can and uses it on whoever she can get her hands on. But now it's time for Nia to enter the structure, and from here, the heels dominate. They're controlling every aspect of the match, and on top of that, it's 4-on-3. It's an uphill battle for the faces to climb, but Io wants to take that fight as she hits anything that moves, although she gets shut down by the much fresher Nia Jax. Although after this, the babyfaces start fighting back. Naomi, Bianca and Io won't give up without a fight. Io Sky even manages to get revenge on Candice for the DDT on the steel in between the ring as she nails her own on the Women's Speed Champion. But now the numbers are even once again as Jade Cargill goes to war. All that's left is Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and as soon as Jade enters war, she pounces Candice, which almost sends her out the cage. And on top of this, with the power of the Hulk, Bianca Belair lifts Nia up and plants her with a KOD. It's carnage wherever you turn, it's chaos wherever you look, but that's what War Games is all about. And with that said, things only continue to escalate to madness. Io even manages to connect the Hurricanrana onto the other Iron Woman of the match, and on top of that, Jade Cargill puts Raquel Rodriguez through the table. How could things escalate from here? Well, that question may just be answered as it's now time for the Women's World Champion to enter the battlefield, but she doesn't want to. She just stays on the outside until the heels get back on top, and once she enters the match, she goes right after Io Sky, as she manages to connect an Oblivion before just beating down her future challenger. And on top of this, Raquel Rodriguez and Candice LeRae team up on Jade Cargill, whilst Nia targets Bianca and Tiffany targets Naomi. It's looking bleak for the babyfaces. That is until the final woman of the match enters the war zone. War Games has officially begun, and Rhea goes right after Liv Morgan, but now that the numbers are even, there's no one to save her. She's all alone against Mami, and she gets decimated. Rhea is all over Liv, and the babyfaces are starting to get on top. Io Sky even manages to connect a moonsault onto Candice LeRae, which takes her out, and from there, Liv tries to escape. She's going to try to forfeit the match, but Rhea won't let that happen, as she joins Liv at the top of the structure. Liv wants none of it, but Rhea doesn't care. Liv is done, and from there, the rest of the team crumbles. Raquel gets nailed with Jaded. Bianca impressively nails yet another KOD onto Nia. Naomi even hits a Canadian Destroyer onto Tiffany Stratton, which pops the Canadian crowd. And Rhea is looking to finish the job on Liv, but Io does just that, as she nails a moonsault onto Liv and unbelievably pins the champion. Team Rhea wins. Everyone loves this, but after the match, whilst the Women's Tag Team Champions and Naomi go to the back, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley stare holes through each other. Just like how War Games began, Io stares one of her past rivals down. There's a lot of baggage there, although nothing comes of it as Rhea walks to the back. Is this setting the seeds for a future match? Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But what's next? Well, we're on to the second match of Survivor Series, and it's a banger. And just like the man himself would say, it's banger time. It's time for the Intercontinental Championship match, and Sheamus is ready. He's prepared to finish his story, but he's got two men to overcome. And the first man cost him everything in this championship match on Raw, as Ludwig Kaiser comes out of the ring. But before he can even enter the ring, Sheamus launches himself at Ludwig. Sheamus doesn't want to wait for the bell. He wants to dismantle his other opponent before the match can even begin. But of course, here comes the champion, and he launches himself at both men, with him managing to spear Sheamus before engaging in a wild brawl with Ludwig Kaiser. You'd think we were in War Games, but Adam Pearce allows for the war to continue. Referee, ring the damn bell. The match is officially underway, yet Braun and Ludwig don't care. They just want to kill each other, but Braun gets the upper hand. He's too much for the member of Imperium to handle, so Ludwig gets desperate as he grabs a chair and swings it into Braun Breaker's gut, but he doesn't let up. He continues to swing the steel chair with reckless abandon. It's looking bleak for the champ. That is until the Celtic Warrior reinserts himself into the fight. He's all over Ludwig Kaiser. The animosity is almost all on Kaiser, but he saves some of his fight for the champ as he sends him back into the ring before going into the corner. He's looking for a brogue, but Kaiser nails a cheap shot onto Sheamus, which allows Breaker to take down the Celtic Warrior. Although as soon as he does this, Ludwig goes to the top rope, and after fighting Braun away, he jumps off, although he gets nailed with a spear. Ludwig Kaiser is done, but he rolls to the outside. Braun can't get the pin. However, Sheamus can get a pin as he tries to roll up Braun. 2. No! Braun almost lost his title again, and Sheamus looks for a bro kick, although Braun counters him with a stiff strike and knocks Sheamus onto the ropes, and from there, he gets an idea, and impressively belly-to-belly suplexes Sheamus out of the ring. He's done, but Ludwig isn't, as he tries to roll up Braun as well. 1, 2, no! Braun almost lost again to a roll-up, and that sets him off as he hits another belly-to-belly to the outside. But due to Sheamus indirectly cushioning the move, both men get to their feet, which allows for Braun to dive onto both athletes. And from there, he puts Sheamus in the ring before locking in a Steiner recliner. Braun's going back to his roots. Sheamus has nowhere to go, but as he fades, Ludwig desperately breaks up the submission, and that makes Braun furious as he sends Kaiser to the outside before he begins to charge towards his target and decimate him with a spear. And he connects it. Ludwig is out, and as Braun looks to get back into the ring, Sheamus denies his application and begins the 10 beating blows. Each strike chest shattering. Sheamus is demolishing him with the 10 beats, and after the 10th, Braun collapses to the outside, but Sheamus knows this is his chance as he rolls him back into the ring before setting him up on the top rope and connecting an avalanche white noise. Is Braun done? No, he survives. Sheamus can't believe it, but he knows he needs a bro kick, so he lines him up, although Braun ducks and then he tries to grab his throat, although with a stiff elbow, the Celtic Warrior hits an Irish Curse backbreaker. But he doesn't go into the cover, he wants the brogue, and finally he connects it, but as soon as he does, Ludwig tosses him to the outside before stealing the cover. 1, 2, no! Sheamus, just in the nick of time, saves his chances to become Grand Slam champion, and he's irate. He's knocking lumps out of Kaiser, but the other challenger reciprocates the assault. It's back and forth between both men, but the champ wants a piece of the pie, so he starts to integrate himself into the trading. No man will wilt. The crowd are on their feet, but Kaiser isn't, as he gets taken down by a knee from Sheamus, and he gives one to Braun as well, although Braun instantly gets back up and takes Sheamus to the outside. But as Sheamus tries to get back into the ring, he gets speared down by Braun. Now all that's left in the ring is Breaker and Kaiser, and Ludwig out of pure desperation nails a running enzuigiri onto the champ, but he can't go into the cover as Sheamus pulls him out the ring. Although as soon as he goes for further punishment, Ludwig hits him with brass knuckles. Sheamus is out like a light, so Ludwig goes back into the ring, although he gets speared out of his boots. Braun wins. He keeps a hold of his Intercontinental Championship, but Sheamus was never pinned. So although Braun celebrates his victory, he knows the Celtic Warrior will return one day to finish his story. We're halfway through Survivor Series, and it's time for the United States title to be defended. The new Shinsuke Nakamura is here. It's a much darker, sadistic iteration of the King of Strong style. The champ's got his work cut out for him, but he wants to talk to ya. Let me talk to ya! You see, last time I was at a WWE Premium Live event in Canada, I came up short, but tonight, nah. Because if you want to see me whoop this fake emo Batman all across this arena, give me a yeah. Shut up, you snarky, unworthy piece of shit. Get down here and meet your fate. And LA Knight obliges. He's on his way to the battlefield, and once he gets into the ring, the match is on, and Knight is strung out the gate. He's showing why he's a megastar, but this is the new Nakamura, and he fights back with ease before he begins to annihilate Knight with strikes. It's almost as if it's child's play for Nakamura, although this is a nightmare situation for the megastar, but he doesn't give up. He fights back, although Nakamura sees it coming as he counters and manages to lock it across arm breaker. Knight is in trouble. We could already see a new champ, but with the champ's experience, he finds a solution as he manages to escape to the outside, although as he's recuperating, he gets jumped and hurled into the steel steps. Knight is in trouble, and Shinsuke Nakamura keeps up on the offensive as he hurls the champ into the barricade, and once he sends him back into the war zone, he starts using his knees. It's almost like each knee causes a personal earthquake for LA Knight, and after 3 knees, Nakamura relents and goes into the cover for a fancy 4th knee. 1, 2, no. Knight has gas left in the tank, but how much? As Nakamura attempts to drain the remaining life force out of the United States champion through another armbar, although he pulls on the megastar's leg as well. Will Knight tap out, or can he fight out of it? Well, after a mighty struggle, the mighty champ gets out of it. Knight's got a shot, and just like Carmelo Hayes, he doesn't miss. He's firing back with whatever he's got, and the crowd are eating up the comeback. They're absolutely loving it, and so is Knight as he hoists Nakamura onto the top rope, and everyone knows it's suplex time, and this time, after playing to the crowd, he grabs Nakamura and connects his jumping suplex flawlessly, and from there, he goes into the cover. 1, 2, no! Nakamura lives. His chances of becoming United States champion stay intact, but for how long? As Knight is measuring the King of Strong style to get up for some blunt force trauma. However, as Knight looks for a kick to the gut, Nakamura counters, spins him around, smacks him in the face before planting him with his signature inverted power slam. Is Knight done? No! Or in the words of Knight, nah. Although as soon as he kicks out, Nakamura looks poised. He's going for Kinshasa, but Knight reverses, and he then connects the BFT. But Nakamura's ring experience is second to none, as he manages to roll to the apron, whilst Knight tries to go to the cover. It's heartbreak for the megastar, but regardless, he puts the King of Strong style back into the ring, connects a burning hammer, but he doesn't go to the cover. He climbs to the top rope and looks for the megastar elbow, but Nakamura moves, and as soon as both men get to their feet, Shinsuke nails a Kinshasa. 1, 2, no! Knight stays in the match, but what everyone knows is that LA Knight is on his last legs, and Nakamura knows it, so he goes into the corner and calls for another Kinshasa, but as he's running, something unexpected happens. Both men are out. Who attacked them? Well, no one knows, but the referee knows to count, and he rules the match a double knockout. There's no winner, and before the show cuts to the ads, there is no resolution. There is no happy ending. But regardless, we're on to the penultimate match of Survivor Series, and it's a good one. It's now time for the World Heavyweight Championship match. Everyone is excited. Can Damian Priest become a 2-time world champ, or will his victory be robbed once again by the champion? The champ is here. The unstoppable force of the main event scene has arrived, and truly his last challenge before he can truly solidify himself at the top of the mountain. This is the last man Gunter needs to overcome clean, but everyone is rooting for the challenger. Everyone wants Priest to win, but Gunter doesn't care as he hands off his championship for what could be the last time. The match is on, and both men stare holes through each other. The crowd are on their feet. They want them to fight, and both men make their way towards the center of the squared circle, and Gunter very arrogantly says, "Come on, Damian, I'll give you the first shot." and Priest obliges. He hits Gunter first, then he demands for Gunter to hit him back, who also obliges with a vicious chop. And as soon as Priest falls, Gunter looks for a knee drop, but Priest moves and nails a kick which stuns Gunter to his core, and he desperately lies on the ropes, although that doesn't give the Ring General a break, as Priest sends the champion to the outside. And from there, Priest takes a humongous risk as he dives onto the Ring General with no precaution for his own safety, and as soon as he picks up the champ, he launches him into a barricade, but he can't inflict any more damage as Gunter moves and he slams Priest into the ring post. Then after this, he picks him up and then plants him onto the steel steps. Gunter is in control, and once he sends Priest back into the ring, he begins to dominate. He sends Priest into the corner, nails an uppercut and a vicious knee to the down challenger, and once he picks him up, he then nails a German suplex which spikes Priest onto his neck. Priest is hurting, so Gunter picks him up and nails another. The match is turning into a prime Brock Lesnar affair, but Priest attempts to shut it down as he counters the third German suplex, and he then nails a sidewalk slam. Then he quickly follows through with an elevated flatliner before going into the first cover of the match. 1, 2, no! The first pin was almost the last, and Priest thought that was the case as well, but he knows he needs more, so he looks for a South of Heaven chokeslam, but Gunter clocks him with an elbow, which begins the striking portion of the contest, as Gunter clobbers layers out of Priest, but the former Judgment Day member reciprocates. It's a very intense section of the match, but neither man will give up, neither man will wilt, but Priest knows he'll get knocked down by knife-edge chop, so he continues to evade it, and because of that, he's managing to overwhelm Gunter. He even knocks him onto the ropes again and knocks him out of the ring again, and just like earlier in the match, Priest looks for a dive. However, Gunter unbelievably catches him this time and powerbombs Priest onto the ring post. His back must be broken in half, and Gunter knows the pain Priest must be in, as when he sends Priest back into the ring, he locks in a half Boston Crab. It's a dire situation for the challenger to be in, but he won't give up. So Gunter just amplifies the pressure more and more, but Priest still won't give up. He even manages to get out the submission hold, but as he gets to his feet, Gunter applies a crossface. Priest can't catch a break, as Gunter just wants to dismantle Damien. He wants to make Priest give up again, but Priest won't do it. He refuses to tap or pass out, and he fights out of it with a kick to the gut, giving Priest the opportunity to nail a razor's edge. Is the match over? Well, he goes into the cover. 1, 2, no! Gunter lives. He won't let his gold go that easily, but Priest gets an idea. He goes to the top rope and then plays to the crowd as Gunter pops up to his feet, but as he leaps off, Gunter impressively catches Priest before planting him down on the canvas, and from there, Gunter attempts to lock in a rear naked choke, but he can't get his arm fully wrapped around with Priest fighting out of it. He knows how dangerous that move is, but as both men get to their feet, Gunter counters a strike with a headbutt, although Priest kicks up and then gets nailed by a lariat which turns him inside out. Is he done? 1, 2, no! Priest survives, and Gunter knows Priest is only doing just that. He isn't thriving in the ring against the Ring General, and Gunter just taunts him with kicks, but Priest refuses to stay down, and when Gunter looks for another lariat, Priest manages to counter, then almost in a taunting way, applies a sleeper hold. Will Gunter tap to his own move? The crowd thinks so. They're on their feet, but the Ring General crushes their dreams as he fights out of it before he almost amputates Priest through an unbelievably stiff knee trembler, which sends Priest to the outside. And once Gunter puts him back into the ring, he goes to the top rope. This can only mean one thing, but he can't connect a splash as Priest manages to move out of harm's way, and as Gunter gets up, Priest puts him in a fireman's carry position, but his back gives out. Gunter has damaged it too much, so the Ring General chops Priest down, descends to the heavens before crashing down onto the broken angel. 1, 2, no! Priest is still in the match, but he has nothing left as Gunter picks him up and just taunts into his lifeless face, but that sign of disrespect gives Priest a sudden burst of adrenaline and he nails a South of Heaven chokeslam. Is Gunter done? No! He kicks out again. So Priest begs for him to get up. He wants to hit another, but Gunter hits a desperate elbow and a body folding chop. And from there, Gunter hits a powerbomb, but he doesn't stop there as he locks in a rear naked choke. It's insult to injury, and Priest has no choice but to pass out. Gunter wins. He retains his World Heavyweight Championship. He solidifies his reign with yet another fantastic match. You don't have to like him, but you've got to respect him. Although as he's leaving with the golden hand, he gets confronted by the only man to ever make him submit. But Dragunov is still clearly injured, so why is he here? Well, it's not just to warn Gunter, but to introduce the champ's next challenger. And after the shocking return of CM Punk, it's now time for war. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the wise man to my and your tribal chief. And I am here to introduce to you the one true bloodline. And kicking off the Bloodline Civil War Games match is the man who leveled up the Bloodline saga during 2022, the honorary Uce, Sami Zayn. He's been in every iteration of the men's War Games match on the main roster, so he's no stranger to the structure, although his opponent never has stepped foot in war until now. Solo strategies to send out the big guns immediately. It's a brilliant strategy by the Timu Tribal Chief. And Jacob of course loves it. He loves the fact that he can inflict pain on Solo's behalf. And with the cage door slammed shut, the two competitors start going at it. They're trading strikes like there's no tomorrow, but Zayn is the underdog from the underground. He can't just simply overpower or overwhelm Jacob. He's an entirely different animal, and Sami knows it, as he does whatever he can to keep the big man down, but nothing's working. Jacob is too much. This is not a good start for the OG bloodline. Jacob is dominating Sami, and it doesn't help that they're at a disadvantage. As Tama Tonga is the next start to enter the fray, but he brings some new toys with him first, as he grabs a kendo stick before he begins beating it into Sami. It's looking bleak for Zayn, but he fights on regardless. He even manages to get the kendo stick off Tama, and he begins laying into both men before it breaks. But that still isn't enough for Jacob, as he nails a Samoan drop onto Sami before discarding him to the other side of the ring, which allows for him to recuperate as the next entrant in the match evens the odds. And it's Jey Uso. Everyone loves this, however it's a 2-on-1 for the Uso, but not for too long, as Sami takes out Tama, which allows for Jey to get into the match as he targets Jacob. Everyone in the OG bloodline knows the threat he poses, so Jey gets right to work as he nails super kicks left, right and centre, just in an attempt to keep down Fatu. He even unleashes that dog in him as he nails a spear onto Jacob, while Sami hits a haluva kick on the Tama Tonga. The main faces are on top, but for how long? As the next entrant, the infamous Tongaloa, looks to bring the advantage back to the bloodline, and due to both Sami and Jey being distracted by the aura Tonga carries, that allows for Jacob to make the fight more fair for Tonga to enter. As with Jacob assaulting Jey, the Tongas go after Sami. It's a complete mauling, but Jey and Sami fight on regardless, but they can't match them. It's a 3-on-2. They need help, but they have to hold on by themselves, with each passing second feeling like an eternity for the babyfaces, as with each blow, with each move, they grow weaker and weaker. It's looking hopeless for Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. That is until Jey Uso enters the war zone. All that's left is the two tribal chiefs before the match officially begins, and Jimmy brings some weapons of his own as he brings chairs into the battlefield and smacks it across anyone he sees. But once again he runs into the brick wall of Jacob Fatu. He is seemingly the difference maker in the match, but the match rages on either way, and with it being a 3-on-3 now, it's more of an even fight. It's not entirely impossible for the babyfaces to overcome the heels, but they know that they'll be outnumbered, so they try their best to neutralize as many bloodline members as possible before the tribal chief arrives, but they're failing. They can barely hold them off, let alone take them out. And that becomes even more evident as Solo Sikoa enters as the last man for the new bloodline. It's once again a huge disadvantage for the trio of Usos, as they all get battered and bruised by all members of the new blood. Tama and Tonga double team Jimmy, Jacob manhandles Jay, and Solo acknowledges Sami Zayn through physical force. He's beating him to a pulp, but Zayn won't quit. He won't stay down no matter what's thrown at him. That is until Solo hits him with a chair to the skull. Everyone is stunned into silence. Sami is out cold. Everyone looks unconcerned, but Solo doesn't stop. He keeps on hitting chair shot after chair shot, with the chair ultimately snapping across Sami's skin. He's out. It's down to the Usos, but now it's 2-on-4. No one can feasibly overcome their odds, especially with the 4 men representing the most dangerous group in wrestling. So they get beaten down, whether it be with weapons, strikes, or power moves. They get absolutely clattered by Jacob, Tama, Solo, and Tonga. They need their tribal chief, and eventually they get him. And with Roman Reigns entering War Games for the second time, the match officially begins, but the anarchy only escalates. Everyone is brawling with everyone. Even Sami Zayn has fight left in the tank, although he's clearly not in a good state. And the other 3 Bloodline members know this, as they shield him from as many attacks as possible. Roman even sacrifices himself as Jacob puts the OTC through the table, but he can't get the 3 count. And with the match going on, it becomes more and more evident that Sami isn't fit to continue the match, but it's War Games, so as one last dance, as one last move to give the OG Bloodline an advantage, he goes to the top of the cage, and from there, descends from the heavens. Jacob is done! Sami has neutralized the biggest threat of the match and turned it effectively into a 3-on-3, and that gives Jimmy an equally very dangerous but elusive opportunity as he takes out Tonga Loa through a similar daredevilish spot. But before Jay takes out Tama Tonga, he says to Roman, "Get it done." It's down to Solo and Reigns. They share the cage with just the 2 of them, and they start trading. Neither man will wilt, but Solo attempts a Samoan spike, which is what put away Roman at Crown Jewel, but the OTC gets out of it, and with a spear, he goes into the cover. And with no one there to break up the pin, the OG Bloodline win. Reigns gets his win back, and with the OG family reunited aside from Solo Sikoa, they stand triumphant, and Roman acknowledges all 3 downed men. He allows them to celebrate the win without him, but as he's about to leave, he gets cut off by someone electrifying.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
And even though it doesn't class as a premium live event, let's see how I booked Saturday night's main event. We're at Saturday night's main event, and we kick off the show with the Women's World Championship match between the challenger Io Sky and the champ Liv Morgan. And surprisingly, Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Raquel Rodriguez are not accompanying Liv to the ring. She wants to do this on her own, so with the referee raising the championship in the air, the match is on. And Io instantly charges towards Liv, but she gets out of dodge. She wants none of Io Sky's offense, although that's not her choice to make, as the Genius of the Sky nails a dive onto Liv Morgan. Io is ready to bring it in this one, and this continues as with Liv getting up after being thrown into the barricade. Io manages to connect a picture-perfect diving moonsault onto the champ. The crowd love this, and so does Io, as after playing to the crowd, she hurls Liv into the ring before going to the top rope. She's going for a signature moonsault to put Liv away early, but the Queen of the Revenge Tour doesn't allow for this to happen, as she throws Io into the middle of the ring before she begins kicking her to smithereens. She isn't messing around, and from there, she continues the assault onto Io with her slowing down the pace drastically, and Liv's strategy is working. Io is being worn down, and once Liv believes the damage to be done, she drags her onto the ropes. She's going for oblivion, but Io counters. She won't be put down that easily, and once Liv gets back to her feet, she gets blasted by a spinning heel kick by Io. Then she goes to the apron, then connects a beautiful dropkick onto the champion. Then Io calls for her to get up, and it looks like she's going for a flatliner, although Liv counters before nailing a codebreaker variation. Is the match over just like that? 1, 2... No, Io survives, and clearly that puts some fear into Liv's bodyguard as she starts to come out. However, she can't make it to ringside as Rhea Ripley jumps her from behind and takes her away. But before she fully does, she shouts at Io, "End this now, Io." And with that, the match resumes as a one-on-one match. But where is Dominic? Well, he's being fended off backstage by Damian Priest. It's chaos wherever you turn. But finally, everything settles and the match goes back to a one-on-one contest. However, Liv is still in control as she manages to connect a double foot stomp and dropkick combination. Io is writhing around in pain, but she forces herself up. She won't stay down, although Liv tries to keep her down with a kick. But Io gets up again, although Liv almost amputates the challenger with her brutal running dropkick. And from here, she puts Io into the corner, then once again slows down the pace to her liking. But no matter what she does, Io won't stay down for the free, so Liv keeps up on the offensive as she snapmares Io before clocking her in the side of the skull with a dropkick. And with a kick to the side, Liv lines her up and connects her running enziguri. However, Io pulls herself up, although she gets nailed with a kick to the temple before Liv goes into the cover. 1, 2, no. Io stays alive, and Liv is beside herself, although in the madness, she gets an idea, as she hangs Io in a tree of woe position before continuing to wear down the genius of the sky. Although after this, the match's pace briefly picks up, as Io dodges another double foot stomp, but Liv manages to take her down and insultingly walks over her, and with a further 2 kicks, she goes into the cover once again. 1, 2... no, Io is still in the match somehow, and Liv is becoming more and more worried by the second, and that makes her more sporadic, which allows Io to catch Liv's leg, then plant her with a flatliner before transitioning into a Koji clutch. Liv is in trouble. Will she tap? She's screaming and writhing around in pain. She has nowhere to go, but Liv forces an opening as she hits a stiff elbow to the side of Io's temple. But she's barely moving. Liv looks surprised, and the referee goes to check on the out-cold challenger. It's a scarily real moment. Everyone stands in silence until Liv decides she wants to finish the job. But Io is playing possum. She rolled her up. 1, 2, no! The crowd are electric. They thought the match was over in several ways, and as soon as both women get to their feet, Io blasts Liv with a devastating uppercut. Then Io grabs her, places her in the corner, takes her down before hitting her double knees. It's looking like the revenge tour is done, but Liv manages to evade the subsequent moonsault before rolling her up. Is this it? 1, 2, no! Io survives. However, as she gets up, she gets caught with several strikes, which puts her onto the ropes and in a dangerous position as Liv finally connects with an oblivion. Is Io finally out for the count? No! Io kicks out. Liv can't believe it, so she gets desperate as she has no one left to save her, so she grabs a chair. But as she gets into the ring, Io obliterates her with a kick to the leg and a roundhouse kick to follow suit. Liv is out like a light, but Io isn't done as she puts Liv into position, goes into the top rope, and she nails the moonsault. Surely Liv's done. 2, 3... Io has done it. She's ended the reign of terror, and she celebrates with damage control on the ramp. It's a heartwarming moment for them, and things only get sweeter. But what's next? Well, it's time for the highly personal affair between the Scottish Warrior Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. And as soon as the match begins, both men begin clobbering lumps out of one another. But Drew is too strong. He's overwhelming the underdog from the underground. But typically, Sami doesn't quit fighting as he evades a strike, then puts him into a corner. And he floors Drew with a haluva kick, but it sends him to the outside. Sami can't get the pin, although no one thinks that would get the job done as Drew gets up. So Sami decides to hit some classic Sami offense as he nails his patented dive to the outside. Although as he grabs Drew to put him back into the ring, McIntyre catches him with a brutal kick before going for the Future Shock DDT, and it connects. Sami is out. He may have a concussion, but Drew doesn't care as he hurls him into the ring and just waits for him to get up. And as soon as Sami does, Drew clocks him with a claymore. but he still isn't done as he goes back to the corner and just waits for Sami. Everyone is begging for Sami to stay down, but he refuses. He gets up, but as Drew runs at him, Sami counters and rolls him up. 1, 2, no! Sami almost had him, but that may be his last gas as Drew looks for a Glasgow kiss. However, Sami counters and hits a magnificent Blue Thunder powerbomb. Is Drew done? 1, 2, no! Drew stays in the match, but Sami knows what to do, as even though he can barely see straight, he puts Drew back into the corner, then lines him up for another haluva kick, but Drew counters, then unbelievably belly-to-belly Sami to the outside, but Sami knocked his head. If he didn't have a concussion before, he unfortunately more than likely does now, but Sami stirs. It's a hell of a gutsy performance by Sami, but it may be futile as Drew knocks him back down to the outside, then he grabs him, puts him into the ring, and connects another Claymore. Then Drew mercifully goes into the cover. 1, 2, no! Sami, just by the skin of his teeth, almost out of instinct, moves out of the cover. But he isn't kicking. It had to be on impulse, and that makes Drew furious. And in the madness, Drew decides to go in for the kill. As he begs for him to get up, he's pleading for it. Then he hits another Claymore. Zayn is done, but Drew still isn't, as he starts beating the life out of Sami. It's becoming uncomfortable to watch. He can barely defend himself, for God's sake. He even gets busted open, but that still doesn't matter to Drew. He's gonna end Sami's career. That is until the referee calls for the bell. The match is ended by a referee stoppage. Drew has won, but he doesn't care. He's seeing as much red as he did at Bad Blood. Sami needs help, and help does indeed arrive. Jay's here, and Drew finally relents off of Sami before discarding the body. And then as Jay gets close to the ring, Drew hurls himself at Jay. He wants to end the bloodline once and for all, but Jay's fresh. He can put him over fight in comparison to Sami Zayn. However, Drew is still a monster. He's on another level entirely. He's completely dominating Jey Uso. There's no Jimmy due to his injury. Paul Heyman can't do anything except introduce the Tribal Chief. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I would like just one moment of your time, Drew McIntyre, before you beat down my fellow associates any further, because I know what you desire, I know it, and I have it. Your purpose for returning is here. The OTC is here, and Drew now has his target set, and so does Roman Reigns. Are they going to come to blows? Well, Drew hurt Roman's family, so of course they do. The war is on. A god is facing off against a titan, but the demigod isn't done fighting as Jay re-enters the battlefield as he assists Roman in fending off Drew. And with Drew backing off, Roman acknowledges Jay and thanks him, but he doesn't just do that as he goes towards the ring. He even tells Jay to follow because they're going to check on their fallen brethren. And if all three men united, and with Jimmy more than likely watching at home, Roman, with a tear in his eye, gives a monologue to his comrades. Jay, Sami, you didn't deserve this. You stuck your necks out for me. Hell, Jimmy's currently injured because he stuck his neck out for me. And when you needed help, I wasn't there in time. Jay, Sami, Jimmy, if you're watching, I failed you. And I know what I have to do right now. I need to be the tribal chief of old again. I need to be the undisputed GOAT again. Then we'll be prosper as one. Then we won't be hurt like this, like what we have been again. But Jay claps back and says, nah, Us, we don't want your old tyrannical ass back. We want our family to be one, like you said, and I sure as hell don't want you ruining everybody's lives for another half a decade. You need to do better. You need to realize you are a bad person, and you need to realize that you need to be an equal with us, just like you were at War Games. That was the only reason I joined, because I knew we were equals. But if you turn back to the old tribal chief again, that's gone. All your reforming, all your repent is gone. And if that does happen, I don't want any part of you in my life. Jay gives Roman the verbal smackdown, and Roman hesitantly responds, "You're right." And after a nod to both men, he walks to the back, and now we're even closer to Roman Reigns finally apologizing.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
But what's next on the card? Well, it's time to crown the inaugural Women's United States Champion. Who will win? Will it be Miss Shin or will it be Chelsea Green? Well, everyone is 50-50. No one knows who will win. But regardless, with everyone barred from ringside, the match is underway, and it surprisingly starts out very technical, although Miss Shin proves to be too much for Chelsea to handle, as she manhandles her in this department. Green may already tap, but of course she manages to find her way out of it, and then she gets out of the ring. She wants to do the same trick she pulled on Bayley 24 hours prior, but it's not working, and that becomes more factual as Miss Shin dives onto her, and from here she lays into her wherever she goes. But as she goes to assault Chelsea, she moves out of harm's way and connects an enziguri. Then Chelsea tries to win by a count out, but of course this doesn't work, as Miss Shin even hangs Chelsea onto the ropes for her actions. Then she proceeds to kick Chelsea till she's going to draw blood from her mouth. Then after this brutal display, Miss Shin connects a back suplex, which almost drops Chelsea directly onto her head. Miss Shin isn't playing around, and this can be seen with a devastating powerbomb connected by Miss Shin, who goes into the cover. 1, 2, no! Chelsea survives, and out of pure desperation, she clings onto the ropes for dear life, and that gives her an opportunity as she nails a cheap strike onto Miss Shin, along with a vicious elbow and an enziguri combination. But that's not enough. However, now Chelsea is in control as she plants Miss Shin onto her knee with no protection in sight, along with an elbow. But again, that's not enough. So Green looks for her own powerbomb, although Miss Shin counters with a few critical strikes, then she runs to connect to Hurricanrana. Miss Shin's back into the fight, but Green fights back with a cheap knee. Then out of pure ego, she slaps Miss Shin in the face and taunts at her, although she gets caught with a vicious combination for her troubles. And out of pure anger, Miss Shin throws her into the corner, knocks her down, before nailing a beautiful cannonball. Green is in trouble, and this is solidified further with a protect your neck, with Miss Shin thinking that's it. 1, 2, no! Chelsea proves everyone wrong with her endurance. Then she begs for a timeout, and with Miss Shin playing to the crowd, Chelsea takes advantage of another enziguri. But then she pulls out one hell of a move. But the Canadian Destroyer doesn't destroy Miss Shin, so she looks for a German suplex, but Miss Shin counters into a roll-up. 1, 2, no! Chelsea counters into her own roll-up. 1, 2, no! Both women stay alive, although as Green charges at her, Miss Shin responds with a flapjack and her own German suplex, which actually connects. And to follow suit, she hits the 8 defeat. Chelsea is surely done. 1, 2, no! Green lives. Then Miss Shin goes over to her, but Green out of sheer desperation rolls her up. 1, 2, 3! Chelsea has won! She has stolen the victory and the championship from Miss Shin! But regardless, it's now time for the World Heavyweight Championship to be defended!
All rise!
Out first is the last minute addition to the match, Damian Priest. He's ready to go to war to regain his World Heavyweight Championship, but to do that, not only does he have to overcome the champ, but he has to overcome the Prince. The trunks are back on and the Demon is out for one of Finn Balor's most important matches of the year. Can he become world champion for the first time in 8 years? Well, before we find out, the champ must arrive. He's here. Gunter is ready to do whatever it takes to retain his World Heavyweight Championship. But can he retain, or will we see a new champion? Well, the referee raising the title in the air, the match is on. And Balor straight away without hesitation nails a shotgun dropkick onto Gunter. Then as quick as the flash, he looks for one onto Priest, but the former El Campeon manages to grab Balor by his throat, although he can't connect the subsequent chokeslam. As with a stiff elbow, the Prince manages to launch Priest out of the ring. Balor is in control, and this continues as with Gunter down. He looks for a coup de grace on the ring general, but as he launches himself off, Gunter moves, then with 2 chops, he then manages to clobber Finn with a hellacious lariat. Then he attempts to lock in a rear naked choke, although Balor doesn't allow for this to happen. However, as both men get to their feet, they realise Damien Priest is on the top rope, with Priest hurling himself at both men, although he only manages to hit Gunter. And Balor takes advantage as he hurls Priest to the outside, but to ensure he stays down at least temporarily, he nails a dive onto Priest. And as soon as he does this, he goes back into the ring and looks for another shotgun dropkick onto the weary Gunter, although he counters and unbelievably lifts Balor into the air before allowing gravity to take its course. And from here, Gunter signals for a powerbomb, although the Prince manages to counter with a series of strikes which rock the ring general. And with him stunned, Balor looks to take the opportunity, although Priest has other ideas as he launches Balor into the corner along with Gunter. And from there, arguably the spot of the night occurs. Gunter stays in the match, so Priest turns to the down Demon and tries to pin him. No! Priest can't get the job done with the double chokeslam, so he looks for another onto the champ, but once again a stiff elbow is all it takes for that to be stopped as Gunter follows through with a hellacious chop. Then he tries to break Priest with a single leg Boston Crab. He's screaming and writhing around in pain, but Balor's back up and breaks up the submission. However, this makes Gunter furious as he decides to pick up and launch Balor out of the ring like a sack of crap, but he isn't done as he redecorates the announcer's table. This could turn ugly as Gunter plants Finn with a powerbomb onto the table. Then he goes into the ring, wipes out Priest with another lariat. Then he goes to the top rope. Who is he gonna target? Well, to potentially remove the Demon's threat from the match, he chooses Balor, but the Prince manages to move with Gunter crashing and burning. This is Balor's chance as he picks up the lifeless corpse and hurls him into the ring. Then he climbs to the top rope and looks for the coup de grace on the Gunter, but Priest is back up as he catches Balor by the throat and nails a devastating chokeslam onto the Prince. Is Balor done? No! He's got gas left in the tank, but so does Gunter as he takes down Damien Priest, but Priest clocks him with a knee to the skull. Then he picks him up. Is he going for a tombstone? Well, no one knows as Gunter reverses with another elbow, and with Priest dazed, he locks in the rear naked choke. Is the match over just like that? Priest is desperate to get out of the hold, but he has nowhere to go, so he has to rely on his former Judgment Day pal to break up the hold once again. And Gunter, out of pure anger and spite, tells Balor to bring it, and he does. He lays into Gunter with whatever strikes he can muster, but the ring general reciprocates with vicious chops, but neither man will yield, and that includes Damien Priest, who joins the war zone. No man will fall, although Gunter forces both men to, as he hits both warriors with stiff boots. Then he climbs to the top rope and connects a dropkick which wipes out both men. Then he goes back up with both men down. He's looking for a splash, but to whom? Well, he goes for Priest, but he moves out of harm's way and subsequently connects a Razor's Edge. But with Balor already up, he hurls him out of the ring once more to steal the win. 1, 2, no! Gunter stays alive, so Balor looks for a coup de grace, but once again he can't find it, but this time it's all thanks to Damien Priest. Then with Balor stunned and him disposing Gunter, Priest nails his own variation of the Tombstone Pile Driver, and with an arm just draped over Balor, he goes into the cover. Is the prince done? Is the match done? No! Balor kicks out, and this near fall alarms Gunter, who out of sheer desperation hits another chop which folds Priest in half before tossing him to the outside. But then Balor tries to roll him up. 1, 2, no! Gunter kicks out, but Balor then nails a sling blade onto him before climbing to the top rope, and he finally connects the coup de grace. But he can't capitalize as Priest looks for one more choke slam, although for the final time in this contest, it's countered by a stiff elbow. Then Balor goes for the kill, as for the first time in a long time, he connects a Bloody Sunday. But who will he hit with the coup de grace? Well, he chooses vengeance on Damian Priest. 1, 2, 3. Balor has won. He is finally the World Heavyweight Champion. After 8 long years, Balor claims his rightful prize. And he did it clean, with no Judgment Day interference. Although many believe this may have not been the original plan. But it's now time for the main event of the evening, and it's time for a very personal affair. It's time for the WWE Championship match. Arguably the biggest threat Cody Rhodes has yet to face is this newer, more vicious Kevin Owens. But can he win? Can he win the WWE Championship for the first time in 8 years? Well, to do that, he has to overcome the champion.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
The champ is here. He's ready to go through hell and back to beat Kevin Owens, but to do that, he'll have to dig deeper than he ever has before, and he's ready to do that. He's ready to fight, but so is Owens, as he hits a suicide dive onto an unprepared Cody. Even though it was unexpected, no one was surprised. Owens is assaulting Rhodes before the match can even begin, and he decides to attempt to put the nail in the coffin for Cody Rhodes' WWE title reign early, as he looks to powerbomb the American Nightmare on the hardest spot of the ring, although he fights out of it. Although as he's charging towards Owens, he gets caught with a kick to the gut and is then nailed with an apron powerbomb. Cody is done. Kevin Owens has already laid out the champion, so he just goes into the ring, goes into the corner, and just waits and taunts at the fallen angel. But why? Cody surely can't compete in the match. Well, he starts to get up, and even though he can barely stand, he goes into the ring. He has a death wish, but he won't back out of the fight. He demands for the referee to ring the bell, and Owens very smugly taunts at him. He knew Cody would continue with the match, so with the referee ringing the bell, the match officially begins, and Owens immediately goes after Rhodes. He's all over the champ. It's an unfair fight, but Owens doesn't care. He continues to batter him with punches and kicks and everything in between. From a technical masterclass at Bash in the Berlin to this, Kevin Owens' journey to madness is on full display of his aggressiveness towards Cody. But as he grabs him, Cody fights back, although as soon as the American Nightmare gets up, he gets put straight back down. Owens is in control, and he knows it, as he even takes time to taunt the crowd before going back on the assault. It's looking hopeless for Cody, and with him down, Owens ascends to the top rope, and from there, he looks for a swanton bomb, but Cody counters. This is his chance, and he starts to lay strikes at Kevin, but it's reciprocated. Whatever Cody throws at Kevin, the challenger throws back. Neither man will wilt, although Cody is eventually forced to by a devastating super kick. Then Owens goes berserk. He grounds and pounds Rhodes until he draws blood, and even then, he only stops because the referee tells him to, as he checks to ensure Cody can continue. And once the referee gives the signal that the match can continue, Owens gets an idea. He puts Cody in a package position, and the crowd go from being fearful for Cody's safety to relieved as Owens turns the maneuver into a slam before going into the cover. 1, 2... No! Cody survives, but for how much longer? As Owens signals for the pop-up powerbomb, although as he gets Cody up, the WWE Champion manages to get out of it, and as Owens tries to recover from the counter, Cody runs off the ropes and manages to connect the Cody Cutter. Cody uses everything he has left to sprawl into the cover. Is Owens done? 1, 2, no! Owens won't give up that easily. So Cody begs for him to get up. He's looking for a crossroads, but Owens counters with a brutal elbow, which allows for him to take down Cody before he goes to the top rope. And this time, he manages to connect the Swanton Bomb. Is Cody done? 1, 2, no. He kicks out again. Owens thought the match could have been done, and almost out of pure instinct, Cody rolls to the outside, and that makes Owens furious, so he grabs Cody and drives him into a barricade, and if that wasn't bad enough, he puts him into a powerbomb position before planting him onto the announcer's table. Cody's writhing around in pain, but Owens doesn't care, as he rolls him into the ring and just observes the downed corpse. But Cody won't be denied. He starts to get up, and with adrenaline in his soul, he begins his comeback. He hits strikes with reckless abandon, and then he puts Owens into the corner, and from there, he puts the once prize fighter onto the top rope before attempting an avalanche hurricanrana, but Owens hangs on for dear life. Then he hits a dive onto Cody, who moves out of harm's way, and with Owens stunned, he gets nailed with a crossroads. 1, 2, no! What once beat the babyface Kevin Owens won't do the same now. So Cody has to dig deep into his bag of tricks, and he decides to pay homage to one of his former rivals. But as he does this, Owens' leg clocks the referee. He's out, and so is Owens, who gets nailed with a Death Valley driver. But Cody's back is done. He needs a moment to breathe, but he doesn't get the chance to. Randy Orton has returned and has just turned his back on the champ. But why has he sided with Owens? Well, he hasn't, as he shows that through another RKO. Both men are out once again, and Orton leaves the carnage behind. And once the referee gets back into the ring, Owens stirs. Cody is still out like a light, and the prize fighter is ready to collect his prize by any means necessary.